Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, animes, TV shows, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. So before we get into today's video, I do have an announcement. I made a Patreon, and over on Patreon I will be releasing videos early as well as posting bonus content that's exclusive to Patreon, and that also will include videos that I either deem too controversial to talk about here on YouTube, or videos that I deem like the topic is very personal to me and I don't feel comfortable posting on a public platform. Content like that will also be on my Patreon, as well as an opportunity to pitch topics and video ideas to me that you would like to see, and then having the ability to decide whether those videos stay on Patreon or come over here to YouTube, as well as the ability to join my book club, which is something I am super excited about and I can't wait to start up. I love books. I really love talking about it with you guys, so having a book club just seems like the next great step. So if any of that interests you and you would like to join me over on Patreon, find me over there at Cave Back Next Door. So today we're going to talk about the tragedy that happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld. If you don't know who Travis Scott is, he's a 29-year-old rapper from Houston. Travis Scott is probably one of the biggest rappers to come out of Houston. I do know that in Houston, I think they have a statue of him there. So he's a very big deal. And Travis Scott is one of those rappers who describes their music as rage music. I don't particularly like that description, but that is what it's referred to, rage music. So think Playboi Carti, think Lil Uzi, rappers who don't really view themselves as rappers, but more like rock stars, who stage dive and have mosh pits and usually attract a much younger audience. So I definitely think plays a big role in what happened on Friday. On Friday started the first day of the 2-day event for Astroworld Festival. The venue supposedly could hold about 200,000 people, but what I assume is probably COVID restrictions. It was capped at about 50,000 people could show up. Now, of course, because it's a Travis Scott event, it sold out. And for some reason, Travis Scott went on his social media and told everybody, yeah, it's sold out, but I finessed it so more of you can come, which was the first sign that this was going to be dangerous, because events and venues have caps on people for a reason. They don't just say, well, randomly, only this many people can be here. There are safety reasons for how many people can be in one event area. And Travis Scott's just a complete non-caring of that was the first sign that this was going to go bad. I don't think anyone thought it would go as bad as it did, but there was already from the beginning not going to be good. Now, the festival was completely unequipped to handle so many people, and a big part of that is the organizer, Live Nation. If you know Live Nation's history, you are not shocked or surprised. They were completely understaffed and unprepared to handle an event this large. Just look at Live Nation's history. This is something that even before COVID, they never had enough staff, and now with COVID, they have even less staff. Again, this is an event with over 50,000 people. Why were there only 2 stations giving out water? 2 stations supplying water to over 50,000 people in Houston. How does that make sense, and how does that work to anybody? Healthcare workers who were working the event also said that they were undersupplied and they didn't have enough AEDs, they didn't have enough stretchers, they did not have the supplies necessary to keep safe this many people if anyone got injured. They were undersupplied by so much. I will say that at Travis Scott's concerts, he has fostered this behavior of just complete disregard of safety, whether it is jumping barricades and putting the safety of security at risk, putting the safety of fans at risk. He wants to have an out of control event. I don't know why. These people are paying money. Why would you want them to get hurt? But that seems to be what he wants. He wants outrageous. He wants bombastic. He wants crazy. So there's a lot of pushing, there's a lot of shoving, there's a lot of people getting trampled. That happens and has been happening at every event and every concert Travis Scott has had over the years. And Friday night, that energy that he has fostered was at a 10,000. Right? I know I saw some people on social media saying that like you knew what you were signing up for when you're going to a Travis Scott concert. You knew what you were signing up for if you were going to be in a mosh pit. First of all, there is for a fact a thing called mosh pit etiquette. There's a reason why people don't die usually at mosh pits. Because mosh pits is controlled chaos. That is the best way I can describe them. There are so many stories of people who said they've fallen at mosh pits and were picked up faster than they even fell. People who've lost their glasses and had people create a protective circle to help them find it. People have lost shoes. Listen, mosh pits are crazy, but at the core of it, they still care about their fellow person. And if somebody's in a mosh pit and they maybe can't breathe, or maybe you accidentally got pulled into one, there are people who are going to help you and get you out of the mosh pit. So I don't want to hear you knew what you were signing up for. No one thinks they're going to go to a festival and possibly die. That is not, stop it. Please stop it. That is not normal. That is not what's supposed to happen at places that promote raging and promote mosh pits and stage diving and that craziness. You're not expected to die. Maybe you might lose a shoe. Maybe you might have a bruised cheek. But death is never on the menu. And by the end of that night, 11 people died, one of them being as young as 13 years old, with hundreds of other people injured, varying from bad to minor. I know there were talks of like drugs laced with like fentanyl being passed around. I know people probably passed out from the heat because again, it's Houston. Listen, it might be cold over here on the East Coast, but it's still very hot in Houston, right? Plus, again, we're talking about a very crowded place. Everyone bunched up next to each other. We're not even going to talk about COVID because y'all seem to act like it's completely gone. If we are being honest, it should have never even gotten to this point, because earlier in that day, fans who did not have tickets had broke down a fence and like bulldozed their way into the festival. And in that moment, it was clear that they did not have enough staff to handle so many people. I think maybe in that video or in some videos that I've seen, there were maybe at most 3 security. In that moment, everyone, the organizers, everyone at the event should have realized that they did not have this under control and the event should have been canceled at that point. If you have people breaking down fences and you don't even have enough security to crowd those people, there should not have been an event held that day. Clearly, you were understaffed because literally there's just a sea of people trampling over each other to break into this event. Like, it was chaos before the concert even started. That should have told you something bad was going to happen. Honestly, you should knew something bad was going to happen when you sold out and Travis was still telling people without tickets to show up anyways. Now, Travis Scott gave us a Notes app apology, and then he also made a video of him trying really hard to squeeze out some tears and be as, sad and sympathetic and as heartfelt as possible, which just feels so disingenuous when you know Travis Scott's history and you know that this type of behavior he encourages and eggs on his fans to participate in. Again, he wants his fans to disregard safety protocols. He wants his fans to create stampedes and jump over barricades and just act as outrageous as possible. For years, this has been the type of energy he has praised his fans for. And Friday night was the boiling point of that. Years of him saying, I want y'all to be even crazier. I want you to disregard safety protocols that are put in place to keep fans as well as staff safe. He doesn't care about any of that. Since everything has come out, there have been many tweets and videos stating by fans that Travis was completely aware of what was happening in the crowd. There are some videos where you could clearly see him watching a fan being carried out of the pit unconscious. I am unsure of the state of that person. I hope they are fine, but there's so much evidence of Travis seemingly being aware of what was happening now. There are videos showing that, like, Travis every once in a while would stop the show so paramedics could come in and pick people up. But if you have to stop the show more than twice to get unconscious people out of the crowd, maybe you should stop the show, period. Why are we keep going? Because if there's already this many people passed out, as the show goes on, it's just going to continue. And I can imagine how many people were dead before the show even ended and were still in the crowd, just laid out there. Because this man refused to just stop the concert. It was fine. It was cute. The first 2 times you're like, hey, let's get this person. But once it's happening every 2 to 5 minutes, you have to stop, end the show. Just end the show. Because along with videos of Travis being very aware that fans were passed out, I know people try to say no, he didn't know, but there's in one of the videos where you can clearly see him looking at a passed out fan. You see him then bring attention to a fan in a tree and asking like the staff to like put lights on them. So clearly he is aware of what was happening in the crowd to some degree. And you also have videos of fans like screaming for help, saying, please help, stop the show. You have videos of fans like climbing up stuff, trying to get this man's attention. And it's that if you cared and you were aware, because he was stopping, that there's a problem. These are your fans. That's why I can't understand so many Travis fans like defending him, because it generally feels like Travis doesn't care about any of your own safety, because he is aware that people were in dangerous situations, and instead of being a good person and stopping the show, he just continued. Again, was it nice for him to stop a couple times to get people to calm down so he can get the paramedics in and get people? Yes. But there gets to be a point where you've stopped so much. Is it worth continuing? Is it worth putting more and more people's safety at risk? For what? For what? We also need to talk about a lot of these fans' disregard for human life. A lot of them seem so busy trying to have a good time and chase the moment that they seem fine with trampling on the lives of other people. Like, there's like video of like a fan trying so hard to get Travis to stop the show, and you have fans in the crowd booing him. Like, there's not people passed out and dead all around you. There are people overdosing and getting trampled, like, and you're booing someone that's just trying to stop the show so these people could get necessary help. For a show, for a concert, you are willing to allow other people to die so you can listen to some music? There were fans talking about how traumatized they were after Astroworld, having to see death so casually. One person talking about the fact they were watching the paramedics pull people out the crowd and bring them out and try to resuscitate them, and then when they wouldn't respond, they would just move on to the next person and the next person and the next person. And I just couldn't imagine, after these past 2 years, you wanting to do something for yourself and go out and see your favorite artist, being so traumatized like that. Like, you came out to have a good time and now you're leaving with the need to use BetterHelp. That's a problem. Your fans should not be leaving your concerts traumatized from what they've seen. That doesn't make any sense. I just can't believe how little Travis cares about his fans. Because again, he was aware enough to stop the show multiple times and then refused to just end it and be like, you know what? This is not going to get any better. More people are going to be hurt. He didn't care. I fully understand why the event organizers and the people in charge, like behind the scenes, didn't do anything. Because why would they care? Why would they care? But you would think the artist would care, because again, he is where he is because of these people, especially the fact that so many of those fans are young children. Now, me personally, I don't really go to any concerts that has such a young demographic. Like there were 13-year-olds in the crowd. That's not a place I want to be, just because people who garner such a young fan base, things like this tend to happen. You know what I mean? Like people who have like an older demographic of fans, like in their, where most of their fans are in their mid to late 20s and 30s, stuff like this don't happen because you can't really push grown folks into acting out like this, which you sure as hell can get 13-year-olds to trample and stomp on each other and not really understand etiquette of concerts. Because it is etiquette when you go to concerts. There is a way you act to protect yourself and those around you. But when you have so many children there who don't know, of course things like this happen. And I do feel like Travis Scott is at fault because, again, this is the type of environment he has fostered throughout the years, that this is what he wants to see from fans. If there's one thing I would like you guys to take away from this video, is do not go to any concerts or events organized by Live Nation. Before this, Live Nation has never cared about the safety of its goers, and that's why all of their events are so understaffed. Okay? There is not a Live Nation event that cares about safety protocol and cares about its goers. Okay? What happened at Astroworld was not a fluke. There's years of Live Nation's understaffed events. This was bound to happen with Live Nation. It was bound to. And it's just like, it was two very volatile people put together. Live Nation's just disregard for safety mixed with Travis Scott's need to have these bombastic, crazy concerts where people get injured came together, and Astroworld happened. Okay? So I think it's very important that when you go to events like this, to pay attention to the artists and what type of fan base they have. That's very important to pay attention to, as well as paying attention to who is in charge and who is organizing these events. If there are people like Live Nation who, again, understaff their events, these are not places you need to be. So that's it for me. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on the whole situation? Who do you think's at fault? My personal opinion, everybody get hit with a lawsuit. Everybody. From Travis Scott all the way up. There is no way that, no. I physically refuse. So that's it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to see more from me, check out my Patreon. I have a link to that in my description box, as well as in the pinned comment below. See you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.